Hey, what's going on everyone, and welcome to this tutorial where we're going to be looking at how to create this super simple transition effect inside of Premiere, no plugins, so let's jump straight into it. Okay, so now that we're inside of Premiere, we've got our two clips on our timeline, and because our second clip is going from right to left, we want the transition to go from right to left as well. So the first thing we want to do is jump into our project bin, new item, adjustment layer, hit OK, and drag that on top of our two layers. Zoom in a bit here, and we just want to pull it back in. It doesn't have to be super long, and this can be adjusted later, but for now, we'll just leave it at about that. And we want it halfway in between the two clips, roughly. So now that adjustment layer is in, we want to go to our effects, and if you can't find effects here, go up into window and hit effects, and it'll bring up this little window, and we want to type in offset and drag that onto our adjustment layer, and it brings up into our effects control. Again, if you can't find it here, window, effects controls, and it'll bring up this. So we've come down to our offset here. We want to bring it back and just hit shift to center the keyframe, and we'll just bring that to the start. And now that we've hit the keyframe, whenever we move this, it'll automatically create another keyframe. So because we'll take it a bit further along. Now, because I said before, because it's going right to left, we want the same effect in our transition from right to left. So we come over here, we start increasing the 960 and we just keep going. You'll see it just recreates the same frame over and over again. We want to do it a couple of times to really sell the effect. And we can adjust this later, but we'll leave it about there. So that was up to about 12,480. Drag that along to there. Now we play the effect again. You can see you've got the effect there. But biggest issue at the moment is it just automatically starts. There's no build up, and we want to ramp it so it starts off slow and then gets faster. And we want our fastest point to basically be where the cut is. So to do that, I want to hit this little arrow here, and that brings down this little window here. If we right mouse click on the keyframe and go to ease out, it starts this little curve. And we do the same thing for this one, except for this one, we want to ease in. And now you can see we've got a bit of a curve. So it starts off slowly and builds, and then slows when it comes out. So we have a look at the effect again. It's a lot more smooth of a motion than it was before. But even that can use a bit of improvement. And we can adjust how much of a ramp we've got by these two little keys here. So we click that and we just drag it out. You can see it moves the graph so it's even slower to ramp in. So we play it again. It really starts off slow and then gets up, and it comes out still fairly quickly. So we move this back this way. It now speeds up to the point where this is going its fastest speed, and then it again slowly ramps out. We'll have a look. So like that. Now I do want it to come, I still think it's a little bit slow coming in. So if we pull this backwards a bit and just try and smooth out the transition a bit. So that's not bad. So already that's looking pretty decent. Where you can't actually see where the cut really happens because it's going so fast. But to really sell the effect now, what we want to do is come over to our effects again and type in directional blur and drag that either straight onto your adjustment layer or up into the window here. And we want to increase the blur. Now, as you can see, we're increasing the blur, but the blur is going up and down, which isn't making any sense when our transition is going right to left. So we want to change the direction to 90, and now that's going left to right. So as you can see, the graph here, this will be the fastest point where the transition is moving. So that's where we want to make it our most blurry. So we increase that to about 26 or so. And we want to hit just a keyframe right in the middle. Now we go back to the start, hit 0, and go to the end, and just line it up with each keyframe. So go here, hit 0, and then this one's slightly off, so we just want to bring it back so it's in line with where our transition starts. So we have a look again. As you can see, it gets blurrier and blurrier, but because it's going slow and it hits the blur pretty quick, we can do the same thing to what we did up here, and we can just drop this down, right mouse, ease out, and it sort of helps this transition to be a little bit more smooth. Pull that out a little bit. And then we can do the same thing here and change it to ease in and just make it a bit smoother. Now for this center keyframe, we can right mouse click it and choose Bezier. And you can see it smooths out both the in and out for this point. So we have a look one more time. There's our effect. So as you can see, super simple. Now let's say if you want to do the same effect, but instead of going left to right, you want it to go up and down. What you can do is rather than changing this marker here, we'll get rid of this keyframe, hit OK. So now it's back to, we'll change this back to 960. So that's back to where we started. We'll just turn off the blur for now. So what we want to do is just, rather than changing the 960, we want to change this 540. So we go back to the start, hit a keyframe, go towards the end, and just do it a few times. And we have a look at our effect. It's going up and down. And then we just do the same things we did before. Right mouse click, ease out, and right mouse click, ease in. Drop our arrow. We'll just pull both back so it's a bit smoother. Have a look. And if you look at your effect and you want a few more transitions in there, just go right to the end, line up your keyframe, and then you can just move it quite a few more times, or however many you think works for your shot. And there you have it. And then the same thing, we can turn our blur back on, but again, because this is now going up and down the transition, we want, rather than our blur to be left to right, we want it up and down, so we can just hit this, get back to 0, hit OK, and now our blur direction is up and down. So play this through again, and there you have it. Now the cool thing about putting this effect on an adjustment layer is that, say you're making a video and you wanted to use this same effect again later on in the video, all you'd have to do is grab your adjustment layer, copy it, and then paste it over where you want the next transition to be, play it through, and it's as simple as that. So once you've made it once, you can just use it over and over again, however many times you want. All right, so that'll about do it for this tutorial. As you can see, a super simple effect to be able to use for your projects. So if you did get something out of this tutorial, please hit the subscribe button. There's plenty more coming. Check out my Instagram page, and I'll see you in the next one.